Shut up and sit down.
I'm totally gonna go vegan this season.
My mind's on fire, so I ride my bike. I'm riding harder than a hurricane. Love is
You shaved your legs? Does shaving your legs really make a difference? Man, shaved legs make such a difference. Look at that guy with the hairy legs.
I saw the old you for a second there. My mother made me.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Lee Grand,
Sir Ian Gibson,
Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. Optional listening required.
And get that runner's high.
I'm totally going vegetarian this season. Eating is cheating, man. I think protein's really gonna help me out in my season. Hey man, do you have a gel?
Babe, I think I found what it means to be alive.
The dog's bollocks. Dog's bollocks, or the smaller version, the mutt's nuts. Basically the best.
The best. Why dogs' testicles represent that, I don't know.
But if you see a dog with a really good pair, yeah, look at the size of that dog's bollocks.
Hey, the dog's bollocks.
They're the dog's bollocks, and you'd be licking them.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Turing. I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin' Hepler, live and in person.
What's up, motherfucker?
What's up, motherfucker?
G-rated, guys. Oops, did I just create more work for myself? That's the last thing I need right now. Oh, no. Hey, you know what?
He's back. By popular request.
His Royal Highness is back.
Oh my god.
HRH.
The one and only Sir Ian Gibson.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
Hello. You all right?
Sweet. And finally, last but not least, everybody's favorite, Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look fantastic. Let's get rolling. Less cursing, more podcasting.
More podcasting.
That's a fucking deal. All right, let's do this. Hey, backpedal, Matt, go first.
All right, just finished a run, and I've been biking every day.
Have you been biking every day?
Every day,
You're doing the top 100, right?
37 bikes in a row, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, buddy.
Fantastic.
Something like that. Yeah.
Beast. How you feeling?
Fine.
Yeah.
I mean, so the first week I was like, like, I got to take it easy. But then, I've settled in now. It's no problem,
Excellent.
which is good.
Job, bud.
Yep.
Gibbo.
Yeah, we just got back from Tenerife.
We did a
Spain.
week in Tenerife.
Yeah. So I've been back 2 days now. One cool thing, yesterday I went for my DEXA scan, which I've been meaning to do for a few weeks. Because
Tell us what a DEXA scan is.
It's kind of like an MRI type of thing. It's like a full body scan, and it looks at your body composition. So your percentage fat, your visceral fat, your bone density, and all of that. So been meaning to do that since I have been on like a 10-week cut diet type
Is that
thing.
something covered by health insurance, or is that an out-of-pocket?
No, I mean it probably is if they suspect low bone density or something like that. But no, in my case, it's just something out of interest.
Do you mind if I ask about how much that would cost?
It cost me $147.
That's not too bad.
Okay, that sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah, and they also do a package with the DEXA scan and the resting metabolic rate for like $200, something like that. So it's good if you're interested in losing weight and getting in better shape.
Yep.
It's one of those things. It measures. It's a good metric to have, good baseline to have. So
Gotcha.
got in there, and the tech asked me what my goal was, and I'm like, I'd like to get down to 12% body fat, and he's like, yeah, you're already at 11.6. So I was super psyched.
Wow.
about that.
Sweet.
So, yeah, that was cool.
Frickin' rip.
Buy you a cheeseburger.
I'm at
I know, right?
33.6
Nah,
probably.
yeah, no.
Yeah, buddy.
You know.
I'm not buying you a cheeseburger.
Anyway, Lance can talk about Tenerife, but we had an awesome time there. It was a long way, right, to come
It
get
was
there and back.
it
but
was a long way.
was
We
super cool.
we had kind of a magical week, to be honest with you. It was fantastic. It's difficult to get there. It takes a bit. It's 25 or 30 hours of travel to get there. But we all made it there. We showed up, and I don't know. I don't even know where to start. The riding was fantastic. All three of us had a great time together. We didn't really have much trouble. I had a little trouble on the last day, but it was all fantastic. The roads were great. The weather, we hit a weather window that was just really nice. It was 70 degrees every day. So sunny and
Same
70.
here. Same here.
Hey, Matt.
Who is he?
He's an asshole, sir.
Yeah.
What's his name? That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
Major asshole.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
2.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
That's right.
But we did some absolutely iconic rides, right? I mean, Mount Teide is the highest paved road in Europe, I believe.
In Europe, yes.
Or the longest climb or something like that. It's 20 miles starting at sea level, and you crest the crater rim. So Mount Teide is like a dormant volcano. You go over into the caldera at 7,000 plus feet. So it's like a 2.5 hour constant climb.
Yes.
Was that on our GT? Was that one of their routes?
I don't
I don't know.
I think I remember something like that. Now that you explain, I remember it was a long climb. When you got to the top, there was like I think there was a volcano or something up there. I don't know. Anyway.
It could be, yeah.
I also rode through a volcano this past week. Yeah.
Fire and ice.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's similar.
Swift
Very,
volcano.
so I had a similar week to you guys.
Similar week.
Very similar.
Yeah, the Mount Teide climb, it's like 22 miles and 7,400 feet of climbing. The day we did it, it was only a 65-mile ride, but it was over 9,000 feet of climbing in 60.
And we did it on
miles.
my birthday. So
We did?
I got my 64 miles in.
Yes, we did. We had to make sure we got over 64 miles.
But
because
it's
Ian turned
also
64.
like, it's different. Like you can stop for coffee on the way up in several places.
Yes.
You come across 300 or 400 other cyclists on the road. It's just
And there were 4 or 5 World Tour teams that had people there doing elevation camps at the time. So I mean, we saw people from Trek Lidl and from FDJ and from UAE and who else did we see?
I don't know. I remember that last day we were sat there in Villafort and we were drinking coffee and looking out, and the cafe is next to like a 7-8% climb or something like that. This Pro Tour guy, I don't know who it was, came past in the big ring.
Oh, jeez.
Standing
And he did this
ripping.
And we were already 4,000 vertical into that climb at that point. So
Yeah.
they're on a different level altogether.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
So yeah, that was fantastic. The Masca Loop was pretty amazing. That day was also huge. It was like 75 miles and almost 11,000 feet of climbing. So lots of freaking climbing.
I think I had in the 6 days I did 40,000 feet.
I added it
And
up. Okay.
300 miles.
Yes.
Something like that.
We rode one more. Me and Sarah rode one more day than Ian, and in the 7 days we rode 391 miles, which doesn't sound like a lot in 7 days, but it was 45,000 feet of climbing, or 13,700
It
meters.
seems to me like you just climbed the whole time.
There is no flat stretch of road out there. It's
Because I feel like those are similar. When we just rode around here and just tried to get 10,000 feet of vert, it was just like climb the whole time. Like you were just like going and finding climbs.
Yep.
And I don't remember what exact numbers were, but we were around 60 something miles for 10,000 feet. Like, so it's like
We got
just
that trimmed down to 55, but yeah, 55 or 56 miles to get 10,000 feet of elevation gain is what we had to do here in our little town.
which was, and it took a little good bit of time
Yep.
too, because you're just climbing.
Yeah.
we were looking for easy rest days, and there's no such thing really. You have to climb to go anywhere on Tenerife. So it's,
No traffic circles to ride around?
I guess you could. Well, we came around that one traffic circle after 73 of our 75 miles, and we all thought it was a good idea to go full out sprint on this.
We did full gas sprint
Full gas
after
sprint, which is-
11,000 feet of climbing.
Railed the traffic circle and then broke into a sprint, as you do, right? Because, anyway.
How did Surratt hold up?
He did great. Are you kidding me? All of us did great. It was pretty interesting. We showed up and Ian was having back trouble. He was having difficulty walking and sitting down on the couch and getting up from the couch.
No sitting on the couch, no walking, only cycling, Ian.
We're all like, oh no, this is going to be trouble. You know, we very first Ian, we get on our bikes and we're like, okay, we did our, easy
Shakeout.
first day shakeout ride, which was 45 miles and 6,000 feet of climbing or something. And we get on the bike and Ian drops us immediately. Right on the first climb, I'm like, "Oh,
poo-poo.
What is happening?"
I felt good. I felt really good.
He had a decent rest week, and his legs were on fire. We were chasing Ian most of the week, which was really quite inspiring to see. Me and Chris couldn't quite hang with Ian on these long, sustained climbs, which was fantastic.
Until the last couple of days, though, Lance found his legs. So.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, day 5 and 6, man, I just felt fantastic.
Yeah, something that's pretty cool that I recommend people go check out is the little vlogs that you did while you were there on your little YouTube channel.
It's not little. Posted, not little anymore.
Yeah. It's still little.
It's growing.
He posted a vlog pretty much every day there, right?
I did.
So
I posted one every day.
See a lot of the terrain. You can see, Chris and Ian and Alex was there as well. So
Alex Aggerby, yes, another teammate was
there for
he
a day
joined
or
us
two
for like 4 or 5 of the rides.
Okay, that's great. So it was fun and interesting, and then you can see, or not see, but watch Lance talk about puking on the last day.
I did kind of fall apart in the last day, and we're really not sure what happened there, but yeah, the week was amazing. It was probably one of my biggest ever TSS weeks, training stress score weeks. I did over 1,600 in a week, which it was like 1,625, I think was my total TSS for the week, which is stupid hard.
Yeah.
And it may be why I was puking all over the place.
I'm guessing more likely you got,
day.
There's been a lot of stomach viruses going around recently, so.
Yes.
I hear in Tenerife, they're big.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty sure I picked
Patient
something
zero.
up.
Yeah.
Because I was sick for a couple days afterwards, and now I feel fantastic. I feel great, and I've actually taken like 3 complete rest days. I haven't done that in a while.
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had to. So for my YouTube fans out there, it hasn't been a video out for a couple days because I've been resting and dealing with
I think I really learned that I knew the importance of resting, but I came into Tenerife with 7 full days off the bike.
Yeah.
And I felt great.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, you've got to put your rest days in.
Yeah.
You must.
Yeah.
I mean, for the form to come out.
Yeah, just don't take off 11 months.
No.
Or 2 months.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you think was your highlight of the week?
That Masca ride, I believe. The highlight for me was the 3 of us, me, you, and Chris, climbing up out of the northernmost town, and we had that long climb up to the ridge in Masca.
There's like a 12-mile climb that was a ridge. Yeah.
And we were all riding at tempo. We were all riding right on each other's wheel, right together, not saying a word. It just had that moment of Zen quality to it. And the weather was awesome. The scenery was incredible. And you just had that camaraderie. You didn't even need to talk. You couldn't really speak because you were breathing too hard. It was great. And then, that whole day was just epic. I think that loop through Masca is probably the best ride I've ever done. It's awesome.
Just a quick question for you. You talked about this on one of your vlogs. I'm curious if you wouldn't mind sharing with the people roughly what it costs to go do a cycling trip or adventure like that with a couple of your buddies.
We figured out that the rough cost for the whole week for us to travel there, to stay in the place, it cost us about $3,000 each.
And that includes your food, it includes the bike that you rented,
food, transportation, bike,
airfare. Did you guys rent a vehicle while you were there?
We did not.
Not necessarily, just rode, right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I used credit card miles to get my ticket, so mine was about $1,000 less than that. But the plane fare was about $1,500.
Yeah.
Ian has benefits, so he didn't have to do that. His was much cheaper than that.
Sure.
But the plane fare was about $1,500. The apartment we rented was 2,800 euros, or is it dollar? Yeah, it was 2,800 euros. $2,800 that included breakfast and dinner.
That's great.
So it included our meals.
And I had something else completely in mind, or different in mind, like with respect to what I was thinking it was going to be. And then I saw your video of you walking around we'll call it like a diner hall or a cafeteria or something like that. It looked like it was really good food.
The food was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you compare that to, it's like we could have gone to Maui or somewhere like that, and it would have been quicker to get there. But I think overall, it would not have been cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you factor in renting a car, paying extra for groceries, all of that stuff. I mean, once you get there, it's super cheap. And not only that, so we stayed in this, South Tenerife has got this expanded, super touristy area that's frankly ugly and
It's a lot.
it's just tourist city. But once you get out of there and get up into the small little towns, everything is so cheap. I remember the last day, that last day we stopped and I ordered 3 Cokes. I had a double espresso, a few donuts, €6.60 for the whole.
Right, you ate all that in one sitting?
No,
No,
it was for the
that was
three
for
of
all
us.
3 of us.
I could have.
Yeah.
We did a stop.
Sandwiches less than $2.
Yeah, we did a
excellent.
stop with 4 of us where we got 4 sandwiches,
Yeah.
2 Cokes, a hot chocolate, and 2 coffees, and it was €16, $16,
Wow.
maybe $17
And the
for all 4 of
the
us.
dollar strong right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
So going back to the cost of it, I'm sure that you guys could have spent a heck of a lot more money if you really wanted to go all out.
Correct.
Is there, and we'll just say that you guys were like a good solid mid tier, maybe?
Yes.
Is there a way to do it on the cheap?
Yeah, you could do it even cheaper. You could stay at a cheaper place or a hotel, or you could stay out of town and just eat your food at eat food yourself or local restaurants.
If it was, say, $3,000 with all the airfare stuff, how cheap do you think you could do it?
Good question. I don't know.
I'm
I think
just curious
the
'cause
major point is the airfare. If you can get a
Airfare.
good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so keep an eye on that, and maybe like to take a page out of Lance's book. If you want to do this and you can't do it right now, maybe it's a budgetary thing. Consider getting an airline card or a credit card that has airline miles that you can accrue points for, and then look at deals and just buy your stuff in advance and see if you can do it on the cheap. If you really want to go do a nice little Tenerife
There's
trip.
definitely options as far as the airfare goes. But all the airline, they don't fly every day. So if you can be flexible with your dates and arrange that around the airline schedule, you can get there quicker and possibly cheaper. I know United flies directly from Tenerife from the east coast of the States.
Okay.
You can also fly through Reykjavik with Iceland Air.
Does it make
with
sense?
Wams.
I know that it's a lot to lug around, but maybe if you wanted to save a few bucks, if you want to take your own bike, is that because you're gonna have to pay to fly it? But when you get there, what was the cost to rent a bike, and is it a lot more than paying for the travel fees?
The bike cost me $320 for the week.
And I'm probably going to guess that it's safe to say that $75 ish if you wanted to take your bike with you on most airlines ish.
Yeah.
So it's $150 round trip. So maybe it's not worth it to take your
I don't
own.
think it's worth it. And that was a good bike too. That was a BMC.
It was a BMC T machine, SLR01. It
Was
was
an 01 too.
Yes.
Oh, no, an 01 too, but an 01 as well.
It had
Tegra?
it had Shimano Ultegra on it.
That sounds
electronic Shimano
Hey,
Ultegra.
electronic?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was all electronic. Yeah. So the bikes were great.
Cool. And you
Yeah.
just know your fit numbers. You know that bike all too well. So it's just pretty quick, simple setup for you.
The rental place you rent the bikes from, they demand you to tell them your fit numbers, so the bike is ready and fit and for you when you show up to
That's
pick
great.
it up.
Yeah.
And they have a huge rental fleet because you can get several there was like 15 or 18 different levels of bike you could rent.
Wow.
So you could get something cheaper
Yeah.
if you wanted. But I got the same bike that I ride here. So
Why not?
yeah.
Cool.
So
So do you think somebody could do it for sub $2,000?
it would be tight.
So we'll
But
just say that if you play your
it's
cards right, you
possible.
can maybe do it around $2,000 on a tight budget if you played your cards right.
Yeah.
Get that credit card, get some miles. Maybe you can get it cheaper than that. That's a pretty solid week for that.
It is.
And then if you went with more people too, is there a possibility to rent something and disperse the cost of the place that you're
It's
staying?
possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 3 of us, and it was a 4-person apartment, so we could have gotten cheaper, I think.
Yeah, we thought it was 4 separate beds. It was not. It was 2 beds, but they were twin beds, like put together, like in
Did
one
you just pull
king
them
bed.
apart?
No, they kept them
we
together.
didn't. We
You
just
spooned.
forget it.
Who was
No.
Big Spoon?
No, just spoon.
I slept in a bed with Chris. We actually only did it for a couple nights because he was having trouble sleeping. I'm probably a terrible sleep partner, so he moved to the couch.
Were you snoring?
I don't snore, but it was too hot in the room for him, and we slept with the doors to our patio wide open, and then he slept in front of that, and he slept better.
All right.
So
Cool.
It's pretty funny. So yeah, it could be cheaper. Like a week in Hawaii, if we had gone to Maui or the Big Island, that'd be $5,000.
Yeah.
You know, just because housing costs so much more, food costs so much more in Hawaii.
Yeah.
If you did this in Arizona and like got an Airbnb or a hotel,
you could do pretty cheap in Arizona.
you could do that pretty cheap, but it's
And
still going to
flights would be
be
cheap.
$2,500 just because of hotel costs if you're doing that by yourself.
Yeah. Our team training camps, though, are not nearly that much. I think it usually ends up being about $1,000-ish between airfare and the cost.
That's because we're splitting costs like 18 ways for the house.
But in
It's
the
still-
food, we
yeah.
always do like those team dinners, and
Yes.
those are cheap if you think about it.
You can't put a price on the whole experience.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, you have this
But
completely
that's what
different.
we're doing, putting a price on it.
Yeah, well, I guess we are. But so what I'm trying to say is you have a complete change of culture. You're in
Correct.
Euroland. You're not in Arizona. You're not in Hawaii. You know, things are different, and it's a great experience. It really is.
We've talked about this a bunch of times, and I'm sure it's going to be more of the same. But how did motorists treat cyclists on the roads there? Did you guys have any issues?
It's phenomenally easy. No, there was so much respect from the cars. Cars, they wouldn't, if they caught you on a climb, they would just patiently wait and drive slowly behind you until it was clear. Even if we were waving them around, like I can see around the corner, they would mostly wait. We had 0 car issues all week. Lots of traffic on some of these roads, but when you get out of town on these little windy, perfect pavement roads, and there's so much perfect pavement on this island. I don't know if it's the weather or the pavement is ridiculously smooth. It was so good, but we never had a car issue anywhere. The
Talking of pavement, my tires on my bike came from the bike shop at like 100 psi or so, and I'm like, I should let some air out of these, but let me try it. And the pavement was so smooth that I'm like, this just feels good. It was smooth.
All tubed, I'm guessing.
yes,
Yeah.
They were tubed.
Any flats
That
for you
makes
guys?
sense.
Day
Alex had a
one,
flat.
Alex had a flat riding to our hotel. We swapped it and never had another flat
Interesting.
again.
Gotcha.
Never lubed the chain, never put more air in the tires all week.
Huh.
It was just like steady. I don't know. Everything just worked out
Sweet.
well. So
Cool.
so it was
Good back pedal.
It was good. It was
done?
a great
And
trip.
then you got sick.
And then I got sick. Yeah, I don't know what happened. The last day we ended up going out for one last little spin, and 2 miles in, I threw up 6 times on the side of the road. And felt better right after that, so still did the 40-mile 5,000-foot ride with Chris, and that was the day we were traveling. And so the flights ended up being okay, but when I got home, I didn't get off the toilet for like 7 hours. So something hit me. I got some kind of bug or virus or something. I don't think it was the flu because I didn't really have body aches.
Your immune system was probably severely
I'm sure
in
my
the toilet by that time as well.
we did a lot that week. So I was probably compromised and didn't feel all that hot. But I feel great now, but I've taken like 3 days completely off the bike other than some time trial testing, which I don't even want to talk about.
I know. Did you see my comment?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. when I saw the picture.
Triathlon.
Triathlon season right around the corner.
corner.
I'm very excited for your triathlon potential this summer.
Oh my gosh.
You're going next to Arizona?
I'm going to Arizona
Today.
I'm actually trying to leave today, but I'm having some van trouble, and that I'm getting that sorted out.
I noticed that I didn't even see your car.
Because I rode my bike from the shop here.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to Arizona, and I'm doing the Valley of the Sun road stage race. Me and Ian are probably going to both do that. And so it's a 3-stage race. There's a time trial, a crit, and a road race.
Be careful.
And so the time trial, I was trying to get a time trial bike to work for me. And so I'm borrowing a time trial bike from a teammate who's much smaller than me. And so I'm trying to get fit on his. So I think I got it so that it'll work and I can make it work. And so I took it out on the bike, but I didn't kit up so that I overdid it. I wore my jeans on it.
Yeah.
So
As you do.
I'm doing time trial testing in my
arrow.
jeans.
They're very
Is
arrow.
pretty
I think
funny.
you should wear jeans on the day.
I should wear
just to
jeans
psych
just to
everyone out.
screw with people. So that's what's happening.
Nice. Jake, backpedal.
25 minutes later.
We could talk for an hour
That's
just
it,
about
yeah.
each ride
It's a great
and
trip.
what
We cut you
happened
short,
and
probably,
how
yeah.
fantastic it was. And so, but go watch the videos that you'll learn more from those, and you'll get to see what they look like.
I've just been riding on Zwift, and but good things are happening. Last week, I was finally able to get back to my normal number of days. So I rode Tuesday through Sunday, so I got my 6 days in, and I was actually able to start incorporating a little bit of interval training, a little bit of structured training to it. And
Nice.
I actually had to take like an active recovery ride in there as well. I did some really solid zone 2s, and like I said, started adding a little bit of intensity in there, which was pretty nice. And then I'm mid throws of week 6. And then last week I finished with about 7 hours. This week I should finish with about 8 hours, and I'm incorporating more intensity, but longer, just to try and build up my fitness. And it's all kind of coming around slow but sure. So I just need to, get back up to that 10 hours and actually ride my bike outside. I was going to try and do it this past like 2 weeks, but we've just been so crazy busy, and I was covering everything at the lab, and that was an ungodly amount of hours. And then this week we had snow. So it's just been lots of trainer rides.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's coming around. Excited.
Fantastic.
Yeah, soon enough we'll
I'm
be there.
glad you're feeling better and rolling it.
Yeah, it's week 7 now, so of being back on the bike. Kind of cool. All right, let's move on.
Champ Bailey in sports. Champ here.
Let's drag Champ out. Drag him out. I don't know where he is.
And then
We
take your
find
mother,
him.
Dorothy Mantooth, out for a nice seafood dinner.
Dorothy, what's up?
Champ is here. Hey, I am back. I'm here for your worst cycling sports news. Big thing that's happened this last week. We had the cyclocross world championships in Laveen, France. So there were some fun races to watch.
Let me ask you if my predictions that MVP was going to have some losses this season, or
it did not work. False. No.
false?
Matthew Vanderpool, he
Rode
showed
away on the first lap. Didn't
he was on the front row because he had enough points, and he was the defending champion. So he went to the front in like 30 seconds. Within the first 30 seconds, he went to the front, and he just rode away from everybody.
Did it look like there were people that were trying to? Because I saw the results, I just didn't see the race. Did it look like people were like going after him, like we're gonna, or were they like this? We're all racing for second here.
No, he gapped almost immediately. As soon as he went off the front, he gapped. There were 2 sections that Vanderpool was riding literally 3 seconds faster than everybody else. He was able to stay on his bike just a hair longer, and so he got away. And he had over a minute gap coming into it, but he actually flatted. He front flatted and rode his front flat tire to the pit and still didn't lose much time by swapping bikes. So he rode away from everybody. It was still fairly exciting racing. Just to see how much he just commanded that course. It was pretty amazing. The conditions were very challenging. They started off frozen, where some stuff wasn't rideable, and then low-angle sun hit it. It warmed up, and there were some greasy sections that became completely unrideable that were frozen beforehand, so it made it kind of interesting. Wout van Aert did show up, and he was like on the 4th row, fifth row. So he started pretty deep, and dude, like in the first 2 minutes of the race, he was in like 46th place. He was not able to get around people very much, but
that was the race to watch. That was fun watching him work up through the field.
He just worked his way through the field. I think it was by lap 3, he got to the front of the chase group and ended up gapping him. So Wout fantastically took second place. At some point, he crashed and the cameras didn't catch it and ripped the whole side of his shorts open. So his
butt cheek hanging out.
Cheek was almost hanging out. And he lost his Garmin watch also in the midst of it. And a couple of kids found it and brought it back to him.
Nice.
So that was kind of cool. Talking about watches, Matthew Vanderpool he just signed a contract with Richard Mille. I don't know if I'm saying that right because I'm not a watch guy. But he wore a $300,000 watch during the race. During the cyclocross world championships.
Hey, Matt, when are you going to review that?
Coming. I think they sent me a couple of them, and I just got to find time.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to unlock your full potential? I want to introduce you to the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, a powerful resource to transform your life today. With expert interviews, practical tips, and inspiring stories, this podcast is your roadmap to lasting wellness. Here's what a listener has to say.
I used to struggle with my health, but this podcast changed everything. It's like having a personal trainer, nutritionist, and life coach totally for free.
With over 2,000 five-star reviews, we're a podcast you can trust. The Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
I mean, that's freaking more than the Lamborghinis he's driving to the race.
I don't understand this. Like, I don't know. People that are just like, I'm showing off all this wealth. I mean, I know that they're sponsoring him. It's just like, it's not give bad taste in the mouth.
They got press for it.
Yeah,
they got press. For
However, well, it's a different scenario over there, I guess. But if you think about like who is the audience that watches cyclocross, is that more of a blue collar working class kind of crowd, or is it like more of everybody? Because here I would say it's more like you're blue cross, you're like
nobody's buying a Richard Mille watch.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. Like you said, they got the word out about it. Like it's not a brand that you and I were like super familiar with. Now we are.
Yes, that's true.
That's huge. And for them, it's not a $300,000 watch for them. It probably cost them whatever, a couple $1,000s to make this watch.
Yeah,
it's worth a lot because I'm sure it's like crystal, front glass display and like
I don't know what's so special about it that it's 300 grand. But regardless,
handmade.
The defining picture of the race was Vanderpool holding up his hands with number 7 on it because he wore, because this was his 7th World Championships, tying some guy from the 70s, some Dutch guy from the 70s who nobody thought they would tie. So he's had the most World Cup or World Championships in cyclocross in history, or he's tied with it. And he held up his hands. He held him up, his hands crossed with the number 7 up like this.
5 and 2, yep.
5 and 2.
Did not cover the watch.
And you could see the watch and his whoop strap.
Yeah.
So both those companies.
that was
planned.
Predetermined, pre-planned. Yeah. Well played.
Yeah, so it was pretty amazing.
Curious to dig into the demographics of cyclocross there and see how many watches they sold.
I think you can't sell tons of those things, right?
I think the same company did something with Mark Cavendish, and I think he wore one of their watches during a few Tour de France stages. So they've done this before.
The owner's a fan, right?
Yeah,
and then they're just, okay.
So super exciting. Third place was taken by Thibaut Nice.
That's great.
So which is great. Sven Nice's son. I can't mention his name without ever saying that, and I'm not sure why, because his dad
was a legend.
His dad was a legend.
That's why.
So he's coming around. The women's race was very exciting. So the women's race, Fem Van Empel was the defending champion. Lucinda Brown has been second, Brand, pardon me. Lucinda Brand has been second 3 times, and she's won the World Championships before on a Fem Van Empel off year. And Puck Peterse, she has also been third place a couple of times. So the women's race came down to a duel of Fem Van Empel and Lucinda Brand on the last lap. They were trading leads. Fem Van Empel was just barely in front, going around one corner, and kind of closed the door on her, and it really upset Lucinda Brand. Granted, they're both Dutch, so they're all these
on the same team.
They're all on the same team, but they're on the same trade team, but they're like fierce competitors. And she kind of put up her hand, Lucinda Brand, like she was upset, and then right before the finish stretch, she was right on Fem Van Empel's wheel, and there was one little kick up that was not quite rideable for the women, and they both had to put a foot down, but Lucinda Brand couldn't get her foot back in as quick, and that was the race right there, right before the finishing stretch. It looked like it was going to be a sprint for the win, but Van Empel, she ended up winning. And Lucinda Brand was crushed, visibly shaken, didn't congratulate her, went right past her, had to kind of collect her thoughts. A camera got to her. They're trying to do an interview. She cried through the whole thing before. It was really hard on Lucinda Brand. It was a little crushing to see and watch.
How about Americans?
Americans,
guys and girls.
The best finisher was Katie Klaus in the women's elite. That's not true. There were 2 juniors in the top 10, 2 junior women in the top 10, which I don't know their names. But Katie Klaus in the elite women took 13th.
Okay.
So that was very good, kind of exciting. I think that's it. That's it.
That's good reporting. Perfect.
One of the exciting races for the Americans, they do a mixed relay, which is not real.
Yeah.
And so they do this mixed relay, and the Americans, their team, just got off to a blazing fantastic start. I believe it's 6. Is it 6 riders or at 4? I should know all this, but I don't because I didn't watch the whole race. But the Americans were winning the race going into the final lap, and they were leading the race. They're not even like a top 20 country in cyclocross, the Americans. And so leading this race, they were just overjoyed.
Ecstatic, yeah.
On the last lap. They ended up 4th.
Yeah.
So they got past, they only were out of the win by like 8 seconds, but pretty amazing. What they did there. So that was fantastic. So the Dutch didn't do the team relay.
Yeah.
I don't think Belgium does either. It's just like, no, we're not doing that. But it's kind of funny. But yeah, so lots of good racing. That was very exciting. There were some road races that happened, but I didn't watch any of them, so I don't know what happened because I've been sick. So I don't know what else has happened.
Well, we did watch Pitcock win the Tour.
The Ululu.
Ululu?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Pitcock has started pretty hot with this new team.
Dude, he's got a whole new demeanor about himself.
Yes.
His disposition has completely changed, and he's super thankful to be on this team. He's been super complimentary of all of his teammates, and he's wanting to kind of prove something. And it seems like he's turned over a leaf, and it's been fun to watch him race. He's been going quote unquote nuclear a couple times, which is fun to watch.
Yeah, he won 2 stages, and the way he won them was just fantastic.
Yeah,
was
good
pretty
on him.
Unbelievable. So good on him.
Yeah, we're not going to see him at any Grand Tours, I don't believe, or at least not as of yet, because that was it Q35. Is that the team?
It's Q35, but they might get an invite to one of the Grand Tours based on Pitcock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So interesting.
So
they'll get one of those wild card picks, I bet.
Yeah.
They're random. They're wild card, but don't worry. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to go his way. We'll see.
So it was good. Champ out.
Champ out.
Thanks, Champ.
I did it with nothing but my own blood, sweat, and tears, and extra blood.
People don't. Yeah. This is a sport with literally hundreds of dollars on the line and dozens of fans. The stakes are medium.
Come on. How do you beat a man on drugs if you're not on drugs?
Wait, did you just admit to being on drugs?
The EPO Chain Mail. Send us a text with your questions. Forward this podcast to 15 people, and you'll lose 10 pounds overnight without even trying.
That's what Ian's been doing.
Got mail.
That is why he's so lean and lost so much weight. He's been forwarding all the emails.
He's been forwarding the emails.
He lost that 15 pounds. Good job, Ian. All right, you guys. We have more really good questions this week, and that's just, we're going to tie this into our topic because we got plenty to talk about here. So first and foremost, thank you to everybody who has been submitting questions. There's been a pretty big selection of people. We've had some great ones, and this week's no different. So we will kick it off with the first one that comes to us from a listener in Portland, Oregon. You guys know where that place is? Yeah. And the question is, it's actually a really good question. The UCI World Tour races are almost entirely in Europe. Truth, right? Does the UCI need to expand geographically to spark interest in road racing more globally?
I think, first of all, there's no real room in the calendar as it stands to to add any more events in. I don't believe.
It'd be very difficult.
It'd be very difficult. Cycling's a sport of traditions, and most of these races have got a lot of historical significance. It's very hard to sort of say, "Oh, we're not gonna run Milan San Remo this year."
How do you test that out? How do you see if that's something that can work? I mean, we did have like the Tour
of California is definitely the
California,
thing.
Utah, and Colorado were three big tours. The Amgen Tour of California was probably the biggest of the three when it was.
It was the one that I watched.
Yeah,
and I think that's how you test it out.
Yep,
and it failed.
Kind of did.
I mean, it was great. I thought the races were great. I thought the climbs were amazing. I thought you had good competition. It had all the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah,
you even had good like viewership, and you had good fans out there cheering. It had all the pieces of the puzzle. And I don't know who pulled the plug. I'm sure someone will chime in with the comments, but it's like
financially driven. They just
right.
It
they
wasn't
were just like
sustainable.
Yep.
Now, I'm not 100% sure on this. Maybe somebody can look it up while I ask. But was that a sanctioned UCI race, or was that just another big race that people like? Oh, let's go to California and do some bike racing.
It was UCI.
No, it's UCI.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I know
that's
where
an important point. The UCI is a sanctioning body.
Sure.
They rely on the individual promoters, right?
Correct.
To say, hey, we've got a race. Can we put this in the calendar?
Yeah, I can remember that's kind of where Peter Sagan kind of made a name for himself.
Yes.
He cut his teeth on that when he was pretty young and really came of age and, got signed on to, multiple big teams with big contracts.
I feel like he won that 3 or 4 years in a row or something. He did something crazy.
Yeah, he did win it. There have been a lot of pros that have done that race too that did really well and it was fun to watch. It's a bummer that it's not here anymore, but to Ian's point, is it just not something that, or was it your point rather, is it just not something that, is financially sustainable?
Hey, I don't know. It depends on the promoter and what they do. Looking at the UCI calendar, there's actually 4 UCI races in the U.S. in 2025.
Really? Which ones?
So Tour de Gila in April.
Where's that?
It's in Arizona. I should know.
All right, here we go. Here, problem number 1. We don't know what the heck's going on.
Come on, Mr. Snowbird. You know Arizona like the back of your hand.
The Joe Martin stage race in May. Grand Premio New York City, and the Maryland Cycling Classic. So there's 4 UCI races, road races that are happening in the US.
You'll get some Conti pros here from the States that'll show up to those, but that time of year, you're not going to get any big teams coming over to do that, right? I mean, unless they've got like a development team that they want to send over here to maybe get a little bit of bike racing in.
It's basically up to you or it's up to the promoters. The UCI can say, yeah, we'll come along and administer and sanction your race. Mm-hmm. But if you think you can make it work, if you think that there's no conflicts on the calendar, and it's kind of like putting a race on locally here. Like, yeah, I'll put the race on. I'll take all the risks. But if it's in conflict with some well-established race that's already happening, it's not going to be a financial success.
It could be really difficult to make a stage race work here. What if we were to come up with just like a one-day classic style race and come up with something that's very fun and challenging and beautiful, and maybe incorporate some sort of fanfare out there that people can come and be a part of, and then watch the race, and then I don't know, something along those lines. Is that something that you think that we could do? Would that be more sustainable than like a week-long stage race, or even like a 3-day race?
Yeah, it could be.
Yes. However, right, you still got to get the whole caravan, the whole production over here.
Yeah.
From Europe, mostly Central Europe, there's a 9-hour time difference. So how many top pros would want to come over for a one-day event, unless it was something like a world championship type of thing?
Money's going to talk, so you've got to have some big time sponsors to make it financially,
But it has
worth
so the racing is basically Eurocentric. It's mostly in Europe, but we've just finished up with the Tour Down Under, based in Australia, and the UCI Cycling World Championships are going to be held for the first time in Rwanda in Africa this year. So
that was going to be my next point, is having the World Championships be here, because
that'd be great.
Because why not? I mean, we did have the folks that were trying to bring it to Portland on the podcast 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember. It's been a minute now, but I don't think that really ever got traction. I don't think it ever really went anywhere, but that would be pretty stinking cool to see something happen here in the Pacific Northwest at the right time of year. because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's some really fun stuff, and you can make it pretty challenging, and it would be super neat to see something, finish in like a downtown Portland area if they could pull that off. I don't know if the municipalities will let that happen, but
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
It would take some organized advocacy, somebody pushing for it, somebody talking to a local government and
which we had that.
Yeah.
It's just
you need to have reciprocity there. There has to be an interest from the government.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Where would be the best place in the United States if we were to have a one-day stage race? Not a one-day stage race, a one-day classic, if you will. Is there anything that you can think of?
What about somewhere in Southern California?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, there's some places down there
San
for sure.
Francisco too, not just Southern California. San Francisco.
If you think about having I was just that would be amazing.
Or you mean like Hills of Malibu type stuff, Southern California?
Yeah, I was thinking there's some climbs and
it's all burned down right now.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff down there. We've done plenty of training camps, and we know the gist of that. But I guess to answer the question, that would be cool to see it expand globally. And ideally, we would love to see it here because that's just going to inspire hopefully more people. But I don't see it happening unless there's a big financial infusion of money that's like, all right, let's just make this happen, some sort of cycling initiative. The other thing is I think that we would need to develop more pro teams that are here in the United States that could kind of be like the anchoring point for that. I mean, we've got EF right now. That's pretty much our only world tour team.
Correct.
We would probably need another 2, maybe even 3 that can be like, that can be, firmly entrenched in the cycling communities here, have development programs attached to them, and have a growing community of kids and youth that we can start to develop. And until we get that, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of buy-in from the different municipalities. So
a lot of it is also to put on a big event like that, a big race, you need the sponsors.
Yeah.
And sponsors will come if they think their product is going to get good exposure. Right now, the amount of people that turn on the TV and can watch bicycle racing is limited.
Mm-hmm.
They've just had this thing happen in the UK where
that's
people,
a big old mess.
Yeah, people could access Eurosport for like £11 or like
sure.
$12, $13 a month. It's now gone up to 30 or 40 a month. And what people are saying is that's going to stop people renewing their subscription. There's going to be less people tuning in. Tuning in, that's an old phrase, but
streaming in,
viewing these races. And so there's the people that are providing the financial backing, they're not going to be interested in putting their banners along the race course because there's less people there. So they're saying that is going to kill off professional standard cycling in the UK. That's the prediction. And I think it's already here in the US. There's not, the people that would sponsor those races need to come forward, and there's no incentive for them to do that at the moment.
Interestingly enough, I was trying to find the locations of those U.S. races where I didn't know there were. The Joe Martin stage race, that one's in Fayetteville, Arkansas. But if you recall, it didn't happen last year. It got canceled. And I don't know if it had to do with the promoters or with interest or what was happening, but the whole stage race, one of the few UCI stage races that were supposed to happen in 2024, got just canceled, and they pushed it to 2025. So
Arkansas might be one of the arguably like best recommendations for locations. We were talking about California, maybe like Arizona, places like that, but Arkansas, because there's potentially financial sponsorship opportunities or financial interests, at least in maybe the sport. So that would be interesting.
Sure.
I think we had the UCI Cyclocross World Championships here a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And maybe in the future, I see the more UCI sanctioned gravel racing here, because that's a big thing.
This is the hotbed,
Yeah. As far as the road scene, who knows?
Yeah, I think that's probably the avenue, right? Where you're like, road is kind of what it is, and cyclocross has a little bit more range. Whereas gravel, it's like that's our U.S. potential to really push and be like, this is what we do here in the U.S. and we do it well, and this is where the big races are, and we have serious contenders.
Yeah, if we lean into that would be a good gateway drug to
Yep.
get more people involved or interested in other sports as well. So,
good point.
I don't know. That's I think on the question the question on the surface is a good question. Like, oh yeah, for sure they need to come here, but there's so many moving parts and other like dynamics deep to that make it kind of prohibitive. But
Right.
I don't know if somebody knows somebody with a lot of money. I heard that maybe if a couple of years ago you submitted something to the government, they might have written you a check for a couple $1 billion. But I don't know. I digress.
Those loopholes are getting closed.
Yeah. All right.
The tour of the Gila is in Silver City, New Mexico.
Yeah.
So one, not Arizona, one state over in New Mexico.
So close.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. The next question comes to us from Los Angeles, California. You guys ever heard of that place? City of the Angels?
Been there.
Yeah. Sorry, listener, but if I never go back again, that will be too soon. Not a fan. Anywho, they were listening to the last podcast, number 356, and I'm just going to summarize this. And we were talking about being a parent and all that other stuff, and they were listening to us talk about all of the time that we had sucked out of our lives having to go and support our kids at their sports. You know, Matt going to all of his swim meets and me going to all of my soccer stuff all over the world, and Lance has been doing like the theater and soccer and all that other stuff. And Ian, I don't know what you were doing with your kids, but because you weren't at that podcast, but we were talking about how much time it took to be invested in our kids. So their question in essence was, what sports can they get their kids involved so they can crush it in cycling like Lance friggin' Hepler?
Ooh, good question.
That's a good question. Cycling.
Yeah.
Get your kids in
Yeah, that's true.
Have them join a Zwift race league, right?
Right? That's a good question. What's a good sport to get your dude? If your kids have potential, in any sport, it's going to be a time suck. Period.
Yeah, because if they start playing at a higher level, like you go from rec to club, I mean, there's a big financial commitment there. But in addition to that, you're going to need to play other teams that are as good. So there enters the whole travel bit. And I mean, literally with my daughter, she's a pretty good soccer player. We have to fly to Arizona at least once or twice a year. We have to drive to Medford, Oregon, which is like a 4 or 5 hour drive.
Yep.
It's one of those things where that's just what you do. And so you're kind of subject to having to go travel if your kid's going to be good at sports. If your kid sucks at sports, that kind of sucks. But in the same breath, it's kind of good for your time because rec sports are not a big ask. Usually it's like a practice or two during the week and then a game on the weekends, and it's all local and you just keep on carrying on.
But the time suck, that could be any of the sports, football, basketball, track and field, cross country.
I can't think of anything except for, I mean, cross country is pretty cheap. Like
it's not cheap,
but
cheap
you're
still traveling.
But you send them with the team. You just send your kid with the team, you know, like even having so we're big on swimming, which we talked about all the time. But like for high school swim, I can just send Ethan with the high school team and be like, see you later. Tell me about your race when you get back. That's it. So high school sports have that ability. Yes, you can go as a parent and go watch all these things and travel or whatever. But we got 2 other kids. We're going different directions. So
yeah,
I say you should probably just embrace it. It's actually only a handful of years when you think about it. It's through high school, perhaps, or middle school. It doesn't last forever. And
see it as an opportunity too. If you have to travel to some of these places, take your freaking bike with you.
Take your bike.
Seriously, you go to go see some cool stuff. Now you got to play that wisely because you got to still watch your kid do their thing, but you can kind of multitask there. Yeah.
It's kind of it's just the way things are. I mean, when growing up in England in the 70s, like I played rugby for the school. Did my parents ever show up and come and cheer me on? Nope. It's just like they put me on the bus and I went to play my game on a Saturday.
What position did you play? Yeah. Were you a flanker?
No,
hooker?
Flanker. No, I was a second row forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Played a little rugby back in the college days too. Yeah.
There you go.
Let me be clear. When my kids were involved in all the things they were involved with in middle school and in high school, I was not Lance frigging Hepler back then.
You're Lance frigging Hepler. I was totally different.
I was not. I was not fast. It was Lance 1.0. It was different, and so the Lance frigging Hepler didn't come till my kids were really gone and doing things their own. And that's a function of me having kids when I was young.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my first was born, I was 25 years old when my son was born. Huh. And I was 30 when my last daughter was born. So that's why I'm 55 and my kids are all in school. Yeah, right.
I was 39 when my first was born.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that my sort of mid 40s to mid 50s was a kind of a lost decade as far as my own performance, my own recreation went. It wasn't lost. That sounds bad, but with the kids doing their thing in school and my health issues and everything, that was like 10 years of my life that I did not do
squat.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was Gibbo 1.0 as well.
Yeah, same.
Or you could just switch to running like Matt, because you're pretty good about
So
optimizing
much
that way.
faster.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
So much
Just
faster.
Bring a pair of tennis shoes with you and run around the
That's
soccer
right.
field. Or the,
Yeah, it really is. Like, cause so we'd go to a swim meet. We go and we drop the kids off, and they go in. They do a warm up, and that's like an hour block that you have.
Right,
an hour's tricky on the bike, right? Like,
yes,
you know,
especially new location, different spot.
Gear up. You're checking Strava. You look at your watch, and you're like, half of my time is gone.
Yes,
no,
correct.
30 minutes now? No. But running is just so easy. Yep. It's a good sport. Good one.
All right. Well, that's a good one. We don't have a good strong answer for you on that one.
I guess the answer is cycling. If you can get them into cycling.
Yeah.
I envy my friends whose kids are also big into bike racing. I mean, they just do so much together.
They do.
It enhances it rather than
it's just like the handles. I mean, that's like the
exactly,
quintessential. Like now you've got this daughter who is turned into an absolute freaking monster, going to be racing at a pretty stinking high level in college. And like, sometimes you're like, I'm having a hard time keeping up with you. But then again, he's a freaking an absolute beast, a monster. He's an anomaly. He's an enigma. So
Kylie did get her USAC upgrade to Cat 2, so she can do all the road races with the team that she's going to be racing with this year.
That's fantastic.
So she'll be doing Redlands Classic, and she's doing these other races that I'm doing as well. The
Valley of the Sun.
Yeah, Valley of the Sun and Tucson Bicycling Classic.
Now, Dr. Handel will be there. Did you convince him to race with you, or does he not want to do that?
He is not going to be there.
He's not.
So I was confused. I thought he was going down, but he is on other kid duty and work while she's doing the race. Yes, so they're splitting. The mom is going down to help and support Kylie, and
makes sense.
Chris has to stay home. Yeah.
Good luck, Kylie. Cool.
Good luck.
Oh, ready for the last question?
Yes.
All right. The last question comes from a listener in the great state of Washington. Not quite sure where, but the question is a question for Lance and Ian. When you receive this, you will have just finished your week-long training camp in Tenerife. My question is, how much structure did you try to maintain in your rides while at training camp? Are you aiming to stick to lots of Zone 2 power the whole time, or are you just aiming for lots of volume, not with specific power targets? And they're asking because they're going to be doing their own little training camp, and they just wanted to get an idea of like how they should structure it. So
the strategy was basically to go out and rip each other's legs off.
Yeah, murder each other every day. What's the point?
Smart plan.
There was actually a pre-discussion about what we were trying to do each day and what we kind of had planned for the week. So we kind of had something rolling there. Ian's a coach. I'm self-coached, kind of, and Chris has a coach. And Chris's coach knew that what was happening this week, and he suggested that we try to do 1,200 TSS for the week. So we had like an
barely
effort.
Got it.
We did 16. We way freaking overdid it. Yeah. So we had like an effort goal for the week. But the other thing that Chris was trying to do was to do as much sweet spot climbing as we could. We knew that each day there would be a ton of climbing, and not to do the climbing at Zone 2 or at tempo, but try to do the climbing at sweet spot effort. And so that would mean you wouldn't be going quite as hard as if you try to do threshold. And so we tried to kind of keep things under control on the climbs and not go too far. The first couple days, that was a little more difficult because Ian and Chris were able to do their sweet spot effort. That's not what I think happened. I think Chris did sweet spot effort and Ian was doing threshold effort, and I stuck to my sweet spot effort, which isn't as good as Chris's, and so that's why I was off the back those first couple of climbs. But But that was the idea, to try to get as much sweet spot. So if we did like a 4-hour ride, we were trying to do like an hour and a half of it in sweet spot, which is a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that much. But if you're climbing at sweet spot and you're not climbing, so sweet spot is like 93% of threshold effort. So it's not at your FTP, it's kind of 10% less or a little bit more than that. And so the effort is difficult and hard, but not draining. That's the beauty of kind of the sweet spot stuff. All the other stuff, we tried to stay zone 2-ish. So the descent, sometimes the descents are steep, you're just friggin' coasting because you're going 48 miles an hour, just coasting. But the flatter rolling stuff, we more or less tried to stay zone 2 unless it was a short little kicker, and then we all freaking out sprinted each other or tried to smoke each other.
I mean, we wanted to go down and do big, long, epic rides, and so that kind of dictates that you're gonna be riding at an endurance pace. So what I got out of it mostly was a lot of volume, quality volume for sure. But I don't think any of us went super crazy. And to answer the question, we didn't have any interval days.
We did not
structured days. We kind of were more disciplined than, say, at our regular training camp meets, where
it was
in that
easier
we sort of held back.
It was only 3 of us, so there wasn't somebody throwing haymakers, on every single ride. So that made it easier for us to kind of control our...
But the duration of the ride and the terrain and everything like that sort of said, if you're going to complete this ride, you got to do it at sweet spot or below.
Correct.
Anyway, no real structure, just a lot of good quality volume.
And I think it helped us quite a bit because on our Queen stage day when we did Masca, and that was a 6-hour day, and in hour 5 of that day, we did our most difficult climb of the whole week. There's a 2.5-mile segment that is 1,500 feet of climbing in 2.5 miles. And so it averages 11% for 2.5 miles, which means it has ramps of 20% up some of the switchbacks. And I actually got to the bottom of that climb, and this was day 5. This was day 5, and we were 5 hours into the ride. I got to the bottom of that climb, and I felt great. Mm-hmm. And I think part of that was because of we didn't overdo it the rest of the week.
Yeah.
We weren't doing threshold, climbing. We were doing sweet spot climbing or a little bit less than that. And so, I mean, I beat my time up that climb by like 5 minutes, which was fantastic. And I smoked you two, Jack.
Yeah, you did.
So it was, it felt
day
pretty
5,
good.
Lance finds his legs.
I found his legs. And then on day 6, on the last day, we were doing... It was an easier day until there was one 8-mile climb segment. It was 2,300 feet of 8 miles, so it averaged roughly 6%, so not bad. And I completely attacked that day, knowing it was like our last hard day. And so that was a day...
That was a threshold effort.
That was a threshold effort. I tried to hold 300 watts for this whole 8-mile climb as long as I possibly could. I couldn't quite hold that high of watts, but that was a 48-minute effort at my threshold. And so that, and I felt great that day too. After being that long and that deep into the whole week, to be able to do an effort like that at the end of the week was great. And that was a factor of us controlling ourselves earlier in the week, which was good. So
cool. Is that it?
I think that's it. So sweet spot climbing.
Sweet spot climbing, yeah.
So sweet spot climbing. If you're doing a whole long week, it's kind of important not to bury yourself too early in the week, otherwise you're gonna fall apart.
Cool. All right. Well, that concludes all of the questions for this week. We do thank everybody for sending those in. And if you have a question or if you'd like to contribute something or you just want to call somebody a jack monkey on the show,
I just did that.
Use that little text us button on pretty much all the platforms. If I'm not mistaken, it's on all of them. I know for sure it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
You just hit that little button and it comes through to us, and we can't see who you are. We can see what city or state you're from. And then I think we see the last 4 digits of your phone number. But other than that, we have no idea. So more the merrier. Well, I kind of like this. I'm really digging the fact because I don't have to think too much about like, what are we going to talk about this week? So
it's been great to answer questions.
Appreciate
We're happy
that.
to do it.
Cool. All right. I think that's it. We're going to move on to one last thing. Who goes first?
I always go first.
Is it Matt? Oh, Matt.
Come on now.
Is that how that works?
Oh.
Go for it, dude.
I'm putting the finishing touches on the Phoenix 8, which I think a couple of you guys have after 100 days. Great watch. Great watch.
Love it.
But do you really need the microphone and speaker?
Haven't used it yet.
Yeah, exactly. So
mine talks to me occasionally.
So I think a Phoenix 7 Pro could be a good option for people that want to save money.
That don't have the microphone or the speaker.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a great watch.
Great
by the way.
watch.
Yeah.
Love it.
Have you used the microphone and the
yes,
the phone
only
feature
for
testing?
demoing it to show people within the video, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't have to
How well does it work when you're making a phone call or using it to make a phone call? Can they hear you well, and can you hear them well? Is it
I mean, it's fine.
Does anybody complain about the sound quality on the other end? Like, hey, I can hear you, but it just doesn't sound good. Or
I've done it one time
Okay.
to demo it.
Okay.
But then the other kicker is I'm typically wearing like an Apple Watch on the other wrist, so it's just as easy for me to answer from that one.
Sure.
And it's a little bit more, it's a little smoother. But yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I don't think that people need the microphone and speaker. Also has dive capabilities. Anyway, I have a video. It's coming out. Hopefully, could put it out today, but I think it's probably more likely Sunday morning that I would put it out. We'll
okay.
see. Yep.
Cool. Sounds good. Gibbo, one last thing.
I've just been working on our Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial event.
Nice.
I had a meeting with Washtenaw and Clark County and City of Vancouver yesterday, and everybody's on board, so everything's going ahead, permits in hand. We had to bump the date out to March 23rd now because of a conflict with another event on our usual date. But it should be a great day. It's going to be all-day racing. We have traditional time trial categories in the morning. We have Eddie-style racing on regular road bikes in the afternoon. If you're listening to this in the Pacific Northwest area, please come and race. Sign up. We have people signed up already. It's looking good. And if you're a member of Dial Cycling Team, please hit our Slack channel and look for the links to volunteer to help out on the day. That'd be awesome. I've got some about 10 or 12 volunteer opportunities. I'm still looking for people.
Gotcha.
So it should be a good day.
Have they made the change on the Obra calendar from the 9th? Okay.
Yep.
I think you might want to ask Obra to send out an email for that, because I've talked to quite a few people. As a matter of fact, just as recent as yesterday, I was talking with somebody who came in and she was all excited and like, you know that we changed it, or we had to move it to the 23rd. She's like, what? No, I didn't know that. So, and now she can't.
It was live it was on the Obra calendar for about 3 days for the 9th, and then we took it down. And
I think what happened though is a lot of people, for some reason, maybe it's not that many people, but a fair amount of people still think it's on the 9th, and it might not be a bad idea just to see if they can send out an update. Did they send out the email announcing the race yet, or is that still to come?
Still to come.
Okay. Might not be a bad idea for them just to send something out like, hey, some of you might have seen it on the 9th, but now it's been moved to the 23rd because rowing people came and took over.
Yeah.
Anywho, cool. Oh, I did have one person ask me a question. I'll just ask you this right now. They want to know, and I don't know if it's really going to make that big of a difference, but they wanted to know if we would entertain putting a Clydesdale category in there for the bigger dudes.
I don't think so. Not on a flat time trial.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
I don't think you're any real handicap by being a bigger person. I mean,
that's awesome. I'm going to go double down on McDonald's after this podcast.
Yeah. There was another question too about another category, but I think it was more that because we have the Eddie category, and then we have the Eddie's Masters, and that's 40 plus, and then it goes up to 55 plus for the other one. So somebody was wanting us to have a 50 and a 60, but I'm like, I think it's getting to be a little bit too much. If we had like 1,000 people showing up for the race and a bunch of them were in those categories, then yeah, we could entertain the thought of breaking them out. But for now, it's just going to stay the same.
Jake, are you going to race?
That's the plan. Yeah.
Nice.
Originally, I wasn't going to be able to, but
You'll
now
do
that
the
it's
Eddie, I assume.
Yeah. Now that it's moved, I will actually be back in town. So
the weekend works better for me too.
Yeah.
So,
and I have heard that too, that a couple people
I'll
said
be
it works
there too.
better. So
Nice.
Yeah. I think that
there's enough categories to go around. It's like so many races. You can, most people have a choice of which category they want to go in. Like if you're a 60-year-old, you could enter the regular over 60s in the morning.
Yep.
You may be at a disadvantage if you don't have a time trial bike, but then weigh that up against who you're going to be competing with if you just waited for the afternoon races, and people are maybe a little bit younger, but you might be more competitive there. So,
Jake, should we podcast there live?
Well, I'll be there.
That could be fun.
Except Ian will be very busy.
Oh.
Oh, maybe.
We could just have him like pass by the microphone and be like, throw your 2 cents in. We'll see.
The only thing that I personally would like to see added to it would be a team time trial. I think that a team time trial would be fantastic, especially if we did it on road bikes, because everybody's got a road bike that comes out there usually.
That'd be cool.
I think that would be a blast.
All right.
Even if you could get
Seems
just 5 or
dangerous.
6 teams.
Let's make it happen.
Pepler.
Thanks for everybody who's been enjoying my little YouTube channel.
Quit calling it little.
It has gained a little traction. I've gotten several hundred new subscribers.
Where are you at?
Is,
Tell me your numbers. Are you 200 something?
Yes, I'm
Nice.
200.
Okay,
something.
that's good.
But that's
1,000 you get to monetize.
That's right. I'm working on getting to 1,000, but a couple of my videos have gotten quite a bit of traction, which is great. So I'm happy about that. I am going to continue with it. I'm trying to do it every day that I train. And so I'm trying to tell some kind of story with the races and make them interesting. But I'd also like to hear what you'd like to hear about my little training sessions.
Post a comment.
Yes, I
Like
do get
and
a lot of
subscribe.
comments. Yes, please like and subscribe. So that's good. Other than that, I'm headed to Arizona. We're going to try to do some road stage racing, which I'm
Sweet.
terrible
Today
at.
or tomorrow you're taking off? You don't know?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Probably today.
You bringing the family?
Wife and dog are going with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good times.
So that's
Cool.
the plan. Jake?
My one last thing is I think I mentioned that we're going to be moving the lab. It's going to be going into its new shiny space here in the somewhat near future within the next couple of months, as soon as we finish all the tenant improvements, which have yet to start, but we're just about there. Excited about that. So in the process of moving, I want to move less stuff. So for our listeners out there, if you guys want to buy anything on the website or even come by locally and use it, you can do that as well. Use the discount code Dialed Podcast, all one word, and you'll get a nice little discount. We'll ship you whatever it is that you want to order. A lot of times you'll get like limits and all these other things. We'll just pretend like that didn't happen, and it works on anything that's on the website. So that is there for you to use. And then I mentioned this before, and I think Lance has already submitted his application, and we will be sending it over to Matt as well. And probably even, but we've got a new affiliate program. We're looking to work with people all over the country, want to kind of start reaching out and branching out. And so we're looking for people that maybe have a little bit of a presence on social media or want to maybe get into that, like Lance in his little videos, whatnot. If he's using stuff, he
200
can
subscribers.
Exactly. He can use these little codes or whatnot into different products. And it's really user friendly. It's very simple. There's a whole backend module that manages that on the website. And you can pick and choose how much or how little you do. And it manages everything. And you can see when people come through and purchase something, you just get like a nice small little chunk of change. And then you can use that for credit towards product, or you get a payment at the end of the month or whenever you've reached a certain threshold, and just kind of like a little win-win situation for everybody. So if you're interested in that, there is a thing, I don't know. I believe it's on the website now where you can request that. It will be up there soon enough. But if you're interested, shoot us an email, info@dialedcycling.com, and we will send you that link so that you can sign yourself up. And that's it. I'm done.
Love it.
Cool. Anything else,
Nice
boys?
work. Nice work, guys.
I'm done too.
Cool.
Well
All
done.
right. Got to scoot. Got lots of things to do today. So thanks for listening. We will be back next week with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.
Be
Knob?
Knob. It's
your knob, innit?
Yeah, it's...
Your penis.
Yeah.
You say, ow, me knob, you know, if you banged into a wall or...
Or don't be a knob.
Don't be a knob. If you think of all the penile epithets, they all have different meanings. Like, if you're a prick, then you're a... You prick. You're a bit stupid. But then if you're a knob, you are stupid, but less... It's an affectionate kind of term. But it's nice, if you're a bit of a knob... Like, I'd say to you, oh, stop being a knob, Henry. And I wouldn't expect you to get offended. But if I called you a dick, then I'd be like... I'd be wrong, because you're not a dick. You're a lovely man.